Okay, welcome back. Today we are going to make one of these, and hopefully you can hear me okay. It is almost 80 degrees in the sewing room. I have a little fan going. It's 64% relative humidity, so it is hot. But we're going to go ahead and get started. I will go over everything. I will probably either speed up or cut away to different parts of the sewing. I'll give you an idea. But overall, to make one of these from start to finish is somewhere around 40-45 minutes. There are a couple steps that you can do differently to save some time, but we've got this bag, which I have the same on both sides. It's got a nice little zipper. Interior fabric. I used a bias binding on the inside to kind of make it look nicer. I've got a little tag on there, but you wouldn't have to have all of that. This is just a very simple bag. So what you're going to need is a rough pattern to start. This is, if you measured it out, it is 11 by 6.5 here. And I have just rounded the corners to make it a little bit easier once we turn it out. So this is the starting size for this one, and the reason for that is because I'm using a 9-inch zipper. So generally speaking, you want the pattern to be 2 inches longer than the zipper you're using. So if you're going to use a 6-inch zipper, you would use 8 inches across. So you can kind of make up what you want to do with that. And with this pattern, you're going to want to cut 2 of the main fabric, which I'm using this, which is a Giuffetti 2 by Art Loft, and it's studioefabrics.net. So using that, and for the inner, you'll need 2 of the inner lining as well, and you can either use the same for that, or you can use a contrasting. So I'm using this contrasting, which I'm not sure what it is, but it's yellow. And so 2 of the outside, 2 of the inside, and then you'll need 2 of the same size for the fusible interfacing. And this is the ultralight interfacing. And you can tell you actually fuse this with an iron. The bumpy side adheres to the fabric, so you will be taking the bumpy side of this, putting it on the back side of this, ironing it on, and it just gives it a little bit more bulk. So 2 of the outer fabric, 2 of the inner fabric, 2 of the fusible interfacing. You will also need 2 strips, and this is about 2 inches by about maybe 1 1/4 inch of a contrasting fabric to go with that. So you would just pick whichever contrasting fabric you want. You could actually use, which is what I'm gonna do, 2 of the squares of this inner fabric to be on the outside, and that is for the zipper pull area. So instead of having this come up kind of an angle, this zipper pull tab area keeps that a little bit more straight. So that is the fabric that you'll be using for that. You will also most likely want a nice straight edge ruler. You'll either want scissors or one of these rotary clippers. Be very careful with these. I've been working on these zipper totes for a little bit, and this is the first time in my life that I have not cut off the tip of my finger with one of these. I set aside a couple of years ago and said I'm not going to use one anymore because I'll go like that and then I'll just come right along and cut off the tip of my finger, and then it's a bloody mess. But I'm being very, very careful, and so should you if you use one of these. If you don't feel that you can be careful, consider using scissors. For this one, you'll need the 9-inch zipper. This is kind of like a nylon or a resin. I really like these with the circle hoop on the top for a couple of reasons. For one, if you make a mistake and you sew the bag all the way closed and you go to turn it out, this is not very hard to unzip from the inside, so you won't be stuck there. Also, if you like having like wristlets, you can make a matching wristlet, and that will attach very easily to here. So I got these on Amazon. I think it was a pack of 20 for like $7. I've tried a couple of other really nice zippers. Like I've used this zipper, which is a very nice zipper, but when I went to try to undo it from the inside, it locks, and I had to tear out 3 whole bags for it. So I need something that I can make a bigger mistake on. And you also will probably want some of these little clips or pins. The clips are a little bit easier. So those are the things that you will start with. And I'm gonna go ahead and pause this because you don't really need to see me try to cut around this. I will get everything cut out and we'll be back. Okay, so I should have mentioned that I got this fabric at the Busy Thimble, which is in Bowling Green, which is just an amazing little shop. This is not sponsored by them, but if you get to the Bowling Green area, they're so kind and so friendly there, and they've got a lot of great offerings, so definitely check them out. So we have the 2 little zipper tabs. We have the 2 of the inner lining. We have the 2 of the outer fabric, and we have 2 of the fusible interfacing. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the main fabric over, and then the bumpy side of the interfacing is going to go down. And we're going to do that for both of them. And I'm gonna run away and iron this really quick, and then we'll move on. All right, the back has been ironed on the front, you know, because sometimes good enough is good enough. It doesn't always come out exactly. I don't trim away the front fabric, but I will just trim off if there's a little bit sticking over of the interfacing, just so I can get it a little bit better lined up. But this is not perfect, and it's not going to be perfect. And even if you were to buy something from like Timo or Shane, it's not going to be perfect either. And this is homemade, so hey, isn't that the most fun? So again, I'm just kind of trimming up these pieces just a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. I do find that sometimes the interfacing does stretch a little bit when you're starting to iron it. So follow the instructions on the ironable interfacing, just to make sure that you're doing it right. And this just adds a little bit of bulk to the fabric, but not a lot. It's just enough to make it seem a little bit more crisp. So you can see where it would be very easy to just stick your finger in there. Don't do that. Okay, so those are done. The next thing we are going to do, I'm going to move those out of the way, and we are going to get the zipper tabs on the zipper. So this whole project is one where I spend a lot of time like checking and double checking to make sure that it's right, because my brain doesn't always work like that. So I know on the finished project, here's the full zipper, I know that I'm going to want that to be bent over like that. So that means I'm going to want to sew it like that. And that means I'm going to want to be able to see where I'm sewing, because I don't want to sew over that, because I don't want to break a needle. I hate to break a needle. I hate to have to replace them. I always get freaked out, and then I wonder, do I have any needles to replace? So we don't want to go over that. So I'm going to line this up somewhat close to the top, and then I'm actually going to clip it right down here. And that's just so it doesn't go wild in the transition when I start. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side, and I'm actually going to pull this down a little bit so it doesn't get in the way as much. So again, I know at the end I'm going to want it to be like that. So that means to have that, I have to put it face side down on the front. So front, the good side down, flip it over. This one's a little bit harder because you have unzipped it. Grab a couple of the clips, and you're just going to try to line it up the best you can with the top. So I'm going to put one, thanks, here, and then I'm going to kind of pull that together. So that's what it'll look like once it's sewn. And I'm going to put one here. And when we go to sew, we're going to sew this side up, and I'm going to start roughly here, right here, and I'm going to sew across here. And we're just doing kind of a quick stitch to make sure that that's across, and then we're going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to actually take you with me to do this, and hopefully you'll be able to see it. Okay, so this thing winds up being kind of wobbly, so the holder for this, so hopefully I don't make you too sick with that. But we have threaded our machine with kind of a bright green in the thread and the bobbin. So again, when you come over here, you can see, well, I can't see exactly where I'm going to be sewing, and that's the top side. So we're going to want to flip it over, because we're going to want to sew not over the zipper. So I'm going to pull this over. You might be wondering what this is. A piece of washi tape is great to line up for whatever your seam width is going to be, and that way you're not constantly having to try to see it up here. You can cover it all the way down here. That's neither here nor there. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to kind of eyeball it for where I want the needle to be, so it's not going to go over that. I'm going to put down the zipper foot, and then I'm going to go ahead and, or the foot, I'm not even using a zipper foot, I'm using a regular one. I'm going to take off the top clip, and I'll get it started with just a couple, and you may have to kind of shove it along as you go. Give yourself enough room so that this the top of the zipper, the end of the zipper isn't getting caught up in there. So after it is a couple off, I'm going to take off the second clip and just go across and back up one, and then so then you can see that that is stitched. It's not very even, but nobody's going to see it, so that's great. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. So again, you want to make sure that you can see the ends. We're going to bring the foot over and put it down. And hold this, and I'm going to take off that top clip so it doesn't get in the way. And then we're just going to help it through, give it a little stitch across, one back, and take it off. So now you can see that both sides of the underside of the zipper are sewn, both sides of the top are sewn, and those come back nicely. Okay, so you have your zipper done with the tabs. And now comes the hard part, is making sure that you sew it on the right way, because a number of times, more than you would think, because that's the way my mind works, I sew this on wrong. So I want to make sure that I don't do that. Now I always wind up doing, so the zipper closed is on the right, open is on the left, so I always kind of pay attention to that. And then I start to piece it together. So I know that if I just sewed it like that, then that's not right, because you've got the zipper edge there. I know if I sew it like that, that's not right, because then I've got the fabric edge there. What I really want is it to look like that, where there's no edge showing. So the easiest way to do that is just flip that over, and so it winds up being the front side of the zipper goes to the front side of the fabric. And so if I switch it over, yes, that's right. So I'm going to try to line this up relatively in the middle. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect. This is handmade. Not everything is going to be exactly perfect. Even if you look at big sellers like Temu, they're not exactly perfect. So we are going to use these clips to put the zipper and the fabric to match at the top. And I'm going to check one more time. Yep, that's how I want it, so that there's not an open zipper edge and there's not an open fabric edge. Now we have to attach this fabric. So ultimately what we're going to want is inside of the bag and outside of the bag. But we're going to sew this to this side, the front side, and we're going to match them up at the top again. So we're going to kind of form a zipper sandwich with the zipper in the middle. So you've got the the front fabric, the zipper, and the inside fabric. And this may be more or less challenging for you depending on if you got a fabric that has a front and a back, a right and a wrong side. Some fabrics you can't really tell, so bonus for you, that will be a little bit easier. But we're just gonna kind of line these up. Pretty close. So then we're going to see that we've done this right, because we've got the zipper the way it is, and this is what the inside of the purse will look like. So you want the good fabric, the right side fabric, facing that way. So, but we are gonna sew it right along this line here. Okay, so we're gonna come on over here, and I've got that up, and I'm gonna take that clip off, and we are gonna go with the 1/4 inch seam. And the cool thing about this, I'm actually gonna kind of follow along. You can feel the zipper right there. So you're gonna kind of want to go alongside the zipper, so you can kind of see that your foot is pressed there. And we will go ahead and get a couple to start, back, and then we're going to go ahead and again just kind of keep the foot along that zipper so you can see where it is, you can feel where it is. Just going to guide it through. When I get to here, I can feel that the zipper, the main part of the zipper and the zipper pull is coming up. So you can see it's right in there. And we don't want that to be in the way, so you're going to make sure that your needle is down through the fabric, and you're just going to lift the foot up and kind of turn this, open this up, and you can very gently slide that zipper right past there. So then you move it back around, and so the zipper pull itself is moved down here, it is out of the way. So that makes it much easier to sew past that point. So then you just come back here, put the foot down again, and we're just going to finish up. Okay, so that piece has been sewn, and you can tell that it is the right way for both of those. And we're going to do the same thing for the other side. So again, you will take your main fabric, and you know that you don't want it to be on top of the zipper. You know you don't want it to be the zipper on top of that. So we want it to roll like that, which means we're going to stick the top of this fabric to that side of the zipper. So you're going to come over here just like before, and you're going to make a sandwich. And this becomes harder because you've got more fabric, but it will work out. And I'm just going to go ahead and attach the outside of the fabric to the zipper, just like before. Now, don't be afraid to check yourself before you wreck yourself. or have to unpick a lot of things. So yes, that works. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And again, when we have these two together, we want to make sure that these two are together. And that means we're going to have to put that with the two faces together. So again, it might seem really simple, but I have to check myself 100 times. Otherwise, probably 1 out of every 3 or 4 of these I have to pick apart and resew, which is frustrating. So we'll put this together, and so that should be just fine. That should all work. So we're going to go ahead and sew with the same seam allowance there. All right, so we're going to do the same thing that we did on the previous side. We're going to go ahead and put our foot down. I can feel where the zipper is, so we're going to make sure that we keep an eye on that. And a couple forward, a couple back. So I can feel the zipper is right there. I'm just going to keep the foot right against that. So I know that we're coming up closer to the zipper pull. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that, again, the zipper is, or the needle is in there. Lift the foot, turn this to the side so I can find the zipper pull. And I'm just going to slide that down and out of the way. So you can see it's out of the way. Won't have a problem with that. Bring that around. Foot back down, and so if you did everything right and you checked over and over again, you should have an inside, which is like this, and an outside, which is like this. So if you are super into making sure that things are very tight and very pressed, you can press this open. I am not going to press it open. I'm going to go ahead and do a little topper stitch on both sides of this. Again, here's another hint. Make sure that you've got both of the insides here. If one of the inside is over here and you sew your top stitch, then you're going to have to unpick it and redo it again. So don't do that. Make sure that that is open that way. And we're just going to kind of stretch this out. I'm going to line, sorry for that angle. This neck piece is not great for catching where we need to be. Sorry about that. So we are going to line the outside of the foot right up with the fabric, and we're just going to do fast little cross. Top stitching kind of helps to hold things down, it makes it look a little bit neater. I need one of those cameras that goes right on my forehead. So we did that side. And now we're going to do the other side, same thing. Come over here, make sure that that is straight underneath. We're going to line the outside of the foot up with the outside of the fabric. Okay, and the last thing that I'm going to do, because I am doing this for our craft fair market, but this isn't something that you need to do, I have a little tag, and so I'm just gonna pop this open. So I'm only sewing on one side of the inside cover. Make sure that the main fabric is well out of the way. Drop that there. And I'm just going to sew 2 little lines. So put that there. And there we go. Okay, so I'm just going to come in and clip any of the extra little threads that I have. I do have some here and there. And we're going to see how things are lining up. So what you should have is a nice zipper with 2 of the tabs. The zipper opens the correct way, a little tag in there, and it should roughly line up. If it's not quite to your liking, you can go through and you can trim. So like, see, I've got a little bit of extra here. Got a little bit of extra here because I just did that off a little bit. So I'm probably just going to come in real quick and kind of trim a little bit. And that's just going to make it easier on me when I go to sew everything together. Again, good enough is good enough. This is not perfection. We're just trying to get it close. And same thing on this side. A little bit out of whack. Just try and catch that. This side. Just kind of getting it closer. So I'm going to flip this over so it's open on to the inside. And now you have 2 choices that you can make with this. Depending on what kind of project this is, if it's just kind of a down and dirty quick project and you're not really as concerned about what the inside is going to look like, you could just serge around here, or you could sew around here, and you're going to hit all of it, all 3 corners there, and you can do that. Or you could take something like some bias binding. If you were very good, you would iron this first. I'm not going to iron it first. But you can also just try to line this up the best way you can. You want the zipper to be right in the middle. You're going to try to catch everything else. And this is double bias binding tape, or double fold. I like that better because it kind of seals both sides in. So I'm just going to open it and just kind of wrap it around there. And just clip it as you go. On this side, we're going to have to double check that the other side fits in. You're going to kind of finagle it a little bit as you go. Just make sure that the zipper is in the center. Kind of work it around the corner. It's not going to be perfect. If you have a little bit of a fold there like I do, that's okay. You can have a little bit of a fold there. This is the inside of the bag. Most people are not going to turn it out to see what it looks like on the inside, unless they're making their own, and then they might. Pinning this or clipping it, whichever works best for you. Trying to match it up the best we can. Here's the next corner. Again, it's a little bit fiddly, so it's going to have a little bit of a fold in there, but that's okay. Have to wiggle it a little bit, you might have to trim a little bit, just trying to get the best you can. And again, you don't have to do this at all, you can just sew it down and dirty quick, and very few people will even know the difference. So look at that. And we'll just double check the other side to make sure, yeah, that's roughly there. You could adjust it if you need to. And I'm just going to clip this off right here. And we're gonna go ahead over to the machine and we're gonna sew it. Okay, so we are gonna line this up. And I'm pretty much gonna want the outside edge of the foot on the outside of the bias trim. And we'll go ahead. And you know, if you happen to have an issue where you miss a little bit, this is the inside of the bag, and you can always just go back over it because it's the inside of the bag. And here it is, the moment of truth. Everything seems to have come out good enough. And so this is where I mentioned if you have a really good zipper that doesn't backstep and you locked it all the way when you were sewing it, you're in trouble now because you can't undo that. But these zippers, you can just take your thumbnail and open them like that and they open. So then we're going to flip this around. And you can take chopsticks or a knitting needle or anything if you're having a hard time getting the edges out. Don't forget to turn these edges out by the zipper pulls. sure all that looks nice and it's pulled out evenly. Now what you could do is you could go and you could do a good job of ironing this to press it and make it look nice and sharp. But you see here we have our little zippered bag, we have a label inside, and it's all done. So if you like this video, definitely like it and subscribe in the below so you can see and you can follow future videos. I'm always doing something gardening or crafting or whatever, but if you go ahead and you make your own pouch, let me know about it in the comments. I'd love to see that. So thanks for watching.